This is the Canon 70D, the second camera that I ever owned. First I owned the Nikon D3200, then I bought this because I want to do video as well. It meet all the requirements. Flip out screen, 1920 by 1080, slow motion, took great photos. It was a very versatile camera at the time, and it still is today, but it's outdated. Nowadays, a lot of cameras do a lot of great things. They shoot 4K, they take great photos, they're very versatile, and there's a lot of different brands to choose from. You got Canon, you got Sony, you got Panasonic, you got Blackmagic, you got Leica, you got all these different cameras to choose from, and you don't know what you're wanting to choose, and you want to get into YouTube, so what do you choose? Well, that's what I'm going to go over in today's video, so stay tuned. Before we get started, a couple requirements that all these cameras have to meet before they make it on the list is that they have to shoot 4K to future-proof your videos, they have to have some type of articulating screen, and they also have to be versatile and take great photos as well as good video. Because for one, you want to take great photos, shoot high quality video, while also staying in a close compact format that's easy to use and a versatile camera at that. First, the Panasonic Lumix DMC G7 mirrorless camera with a micro four thirds lens. First of all, this is a great camera. It's cheap, it's affordable. You can pick it up for only $497.99 on B&H Photo and Video, and it comes with a 14 to 42 millimeter lens. 14 is a great aspect on a micro four thirds sensor because it is cropped, so you're going to be closer to around a 24 or 20, something around that range, depending on what you're shooting in. But it's a great camera. You're going to want something wide for YouTube. It also takes great photos, clocking in at 16 megapixels. It's going to be good enough to get those real crispy, sharp thumbnails and for any other photography needs that you might have. Usually you want to keep your megapixels upwards over a 20 for some really nice photography. But if you're just doing YouTube and you want some nice crispy thumbnails, this is the perfect camera for you. This camera also has autofocus, so that's always a plus because autofocus is great for when you're shooting YouTube videos. I personally don't shoot on a camera that has autofocus, so when I go in closer, it's gonna be out of focus, bam. I have to pull focus myself using a wireless follow focus. But you don't have to deal with that if you have autofocus on your camera because once you move closer, it'll focus on you automatically, hence autofocus. This camera is also great in low light situations. Say you're vlogging at nighttime and you need a camera that can really just capture you even if it's night and you got a little bit of light from the city or whatnot. Since it does only have 16 megapixels, that means the lower the pixels, the more effective the pixels are, which means you're going to do better in low light, which Panasonic excels at. The Panasonic Lumix DMC G7 has a 29-minute record limit, so that means if you're recording and you go over 30 minutes or you go over the 29-minute mark, it'll automatically stop, which honestly I'm never recording a video that's over 29 minutes anyways. I either cut or I am done by then. Very rarely am I shooting something that's 29 minutes long, but if that's something you are doing, that's something you might have to look into. I think this is a great camera for anybody who's wanting to get into YouTube on a budget and they want to get something high quality and great for vlogging as well. But with that being said, let's move on to the next one. Up next, we got the Canon EOS M50 with the 15 to 45 millimeter lens. You can get this bad boy for only $629 on B&H Photo and Video, but for only $20 more, you can get it with the 15 to 45 millimeter lens, which is totally worth it because the lens supports autofocus. Unlike the Panasonic DMC G7, this camera shoots 25 megapixel photos, which means it's over that 20 megapixel mark, which means the photos are going to be sharp and you can actually use this camera for professional photo work. But like I said, if you're doing this for YouTube, you might actually have to downscale the photo just for it to fit in YouTube's requirements for thumbnails. This camera also shoots 4K 30 FPS, future-proofing your videos, but it also shoots 1920 by 1080, which is great. You got all those different options because 4K is going to take up a lot of storage. It's going to be a lot of hassle trying to get that somewhere, and you're going to end up buying a lot of stuff. So I personally shoot mine in 1920, but like I said, 4K is going to be future-proofing your videos. You can always downscale to 1920 to make sure those videos stay sharp. This camera also supports autofocus, so you know there's no moving around and losing focus. That camera is going to tack on, and Canon is known for their spectacular autofocus. So it's depending on what you really want to do. Their autofocus has always been out of this world. Canon has nailed it down better than anyone else when it comes to the DSLR format. And yeah, like if you really want to do vlogging and stuff, this is the way to go. If you're flipping the camera around and you need to focus on someone else, or you're flipping it back to you and you need to focus on you quick or doing something, this is the camera to go for the best autofocus for sure. Canon has it down pat. The Canon EOS M50 also has a 29-minute record limit, which means either your camera's going to stop recording or it's going to split it up into another file and start over again on a different file, which means it's just a matter of linking those two clips together. that can be a little frustrating at times, but like I said, I never really record over 30 minutes for YouTube. Usually you're cutting and this and that, and so I highly doubt that you'll do it as well. I expect this camera to be decent in low light, but maybe not the best. It is a mirrorless camera, so I expect it to be all right, but it also has more megapixels, which means less effective megapixels, but I bet it'll do just fine for what you're trying to do as well. As long as you light your films well and light your YouTube videos well, then you should be fine. You know, it's all about lighting and less about trying to get the camera to correct all your mistakes. But if you're just getting into YouTube, this is a great camera, and with that being said, let's move on to the last one. All right, so like I said, I mentioned at the beginning I had the 70D, which was my second camera, and the one I used for YouTube a long time ago, and the one I used to make all my films and all my videos a long time ago. But now, these days, there's a new and improved 80D. This camera clocks in at $999, $1,000 technically without a lens, and it clocks in at $1,149 with the lens, the 18 to 55. I have a million things to say about this camera, because if you're just getting the video, this camera is great, especially if you're just trying to do it for YouTube, because this camera has a flip out screen, has great autofocus. Now you might find this odd that a camera that's, you know, a couple hundred, almost $500 more than the other cameras doesn't shoot 4K. But what Canon lacks in its resolution, it gains in its features. With the autofocus being on point, with the flip out screen being very, very, very well made, the camera's a beast. There's a lot of different things that this camera does. And the camera's also just really good at taking photos. It has a 25 megapixel sensor, so I know a lot of people who use this camera solely for photography, because it is a budget camera and it shoots great videos. So there's a lot of photographers I know who just take photos and they like to capture little tidbits for their clients as well. It's a more expensive option, but like I said, I owned the camera when I was, just getting the video, owned its predecessor. So I had to add it in here because it treated me well. And for the price difference, I don't know if it's worth it for you. It wouldn't be worth it for me if I were you, but it's a great camera, and I think you'll get all that you need from it. And it's not mirrorless, so it's a little bit safer of a beast. It's a DSLR, and that's probably why the $500 more price difference is there. I just want to throw this in there. So if you're just getting into YouTube and you're trying to save some money and you don't really have the money to allocate towards a really nice camera with the lenses and stuff like we mentioned in this video, listen, even if you just don't want to buy a camera, we all have smartphones these days. Most people have smartphones that shoot very high quality footage. There's so many cheap accessories out there that hold your phone and little tripods and stuff like that. There's really no excuse that you can't get started on your dream of becoming a YouTuber or a filmmaker today. There's a lot of people back and forth who, oh, we shouldn't film on an iPhone, you shouldn't film on a Google Pixel or a Samsung, Android, whatever. Honestly, I've been super impressed I own the Google Pixel 3, and that thing's a beast at taking, I honestly know the difference between a Google Pixel or an iPhone and a Samsung when taking photos and video. But for YouTube, the important thing is to get out and create. So if you need to use your phone, have at it. But anyways, guys, thanks for watching. Leave your thoughts in the comments. If you have any more cameras you thought I should have mentioned, just add it in there and I'll check it out. Why not? And also, if you disagree with anything I said, if I got anything wrong, feel free to correct me in the comments. I'm totally up to changing my mind on something, especially if I'm wrong. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong. But anyways, thanks for watching, guys. I hope this helped you in some way. Good luck on your camera search. I left all the links to the Good luck on your camera search. I left all the links in the bio for all these cameras that I listed. And I hope you have a happy camera searching day. Go out there and start YouTube. All right, peace.